Welcome, boys and girls, to our second realistic fiction lesson. Yesterday, we read a Henry and Mudge book, and I asked you some questions. I got some answers today, so I wanted to go over them. What does realistic fiction mean? And I know a lot of you might be thinking, but Mr. K, fiction means it's made up, and real means it's not fake. How can it be both? That's a great question, and that's why I'm asking it. So let's see what some of the answers were. When facts and stories come together, not 100% fact, fictional characters with real facts in the story, some of it is real and some of it is fake. Now, all of these answers are correct, but we need to build on this and expand on this throughout the week and come up with a solid class definition in our own words of what it means to be realistic fiction. So keep on thinking about this question as I read books and as you read too. So today we are reading Henry and Mudge in the Long Weekend. Dad's behind the camera. Say hi, Dad.
Hi, kids.
He's going to try to stay on the book, and I'm going to try to show you all the pictures. Wet yuck. Henry and Henry's big dog Mudge woke up one Saturday in February and looked outside. Yuck, said Henry. It was gray, it was cold, it was muddy and wet. No sun, Henry said. No snow. Just yuck, wet yuck. Mudge leaned against Henry and drooled. What are we going to do all weekend? Henry asked. Mudge leaned harder. How will we have some fun? Henry grumbled. Mudge leaned harder still. What a boring weekend, Henry growled. Mudge let go and leaned all the way. Whoa, yelled Henry. Mudge flattened Henry like a pancake. How are we going to get up? Henry wondered. Bored. Henry and Mudge had a boring breakfast. They watched some boring cartoons. They listened to Henry's father tell some boring jokes. I can make a connection now because I have a father who also tells really boring jokes. So we're always making connections while we read. Boy, this is boring, said Henry. What are we going to do, he asked. Mudge knew what to do. Sounds like Henry's whining a little bit. Mudge always knew what to do. If there was nothing interesting to eat, nothing interesting to smell, and nothing interesting to chew, he went to sleep. No, Mudge, said Henry, giving him a push. Wake up. Mudge sat up. He wanted to stay awake. He tried to stay awake, but everything was so boring that he couldn't. His eyes kept closing, his head kept nodding, his mouth kept drooling. Exciting dog you have there, said Henry's father. He's bored, said Henry. Mudge is bored, I'm bored. Boy, this is boring. Henry's father frowned. February cranks? He asked. Henry nodded. Winter grumpies? Henry nodded again. Pre-spring meanies? Okay, Dad, okay, Henry said. Boy, are you bored? Said Henry's father. The three of them sat. Their eyes kept closing, their heads kept nodding, and one of their mouths kept drooling. Henry's mother saw them. Goodness, she said, this is going to be a long weekend. Then she had an idea. I would make a prediction right now. What do you think Henry's mom is going to do? The idea. I have an idea, Henry's mother said. Henry opened his eyes. Henry's father sat up, but Mudge kept on sleeping. He didn't care much about ideas, not until the idea smelled like something. Let's make a castle, said Henry's mother. A castle, said Henry and Henry's father. We still have the box the new refrigerator came in, and the box the new stove came in. Henry was getting the idea. And that paint set Uncle Arthur gave me, said Henry. So here comes the idea. It seems like Mom wants to build something and paint something. Let's do it! They headed for the basement. Mudge was still trying to sleep, but when he heard voices in the basement, he woke up fast. Mudge loved the basement. It had millions of new smells. It had lots of places to hide, and some of his old dog toys were down there. Come on, Mudge, Henry called, but Mudge was already on his way. down in the basement. It has to have turrets, Henry's father said, and a drawbridge, and a buttresses, and flags. Dad, said Henry, it's just a refrigerator box. Not for long, said Henry's father. Henry ran upstairs for his castle book. Henry's mother ran upstairs for her pencils. Henry's father ran upstairs for a stapler. And Mudge ran upstairs for a quick snack. They all looked at each other in the kitchen. How'd we all get up here again? Asked Henry's father. When they got back to the basement, Henry opened his castle book. Let's make this one, he said. Henry's father took a look. Henry's mother took a look. Okay, they said. One of them drew, one of them cut, one of them stapled, and one of them went looking for an old boot he used to chew on. Who do you think went looking for the old boot to chew on? That's right, Mudge. They all worked a long time until somebody said, "Is anyone hungry?" "Order a pizza," said Henry's father. "We can't stop now." They worked a while longer until the pizza came. Do you think they're bored now? Then they stopped and ate pizza. While they stared at the castle they were building, they each imagined how it would look when it was done. So now as you see the pictures, they all have a different idea of how it will look. I love Mudge's dream castle. There are a lot of dog bones in it. For the rest of the afternoon, they cut out fancy windows and fancy doors. They cut out turrets and buttresses and flags. Mudge chewed his old boot like crazy. What is a buttress?
Buttress.
A buttress, I am being corrected. Thank you, Dad. You can say it louder.
Buttress.
Thank you. When evening came and Henry finally had to crawl into bed, he could hardly wait to finish the castle. He could hardly wait for more of the long weekend. So, if you're bored, are you this excited? Probably not. So I don't think he's bored anymore. It looks like our problem has a resolution. A great weekend. Henry woke up. He looked outside. Wet, yuck, he said, but he didn't care. We have a castle to finish, he told Mudge. Henry and Henry's father ate some cold cereal and ran into the basement. Henry's mother stayed in the kitchen to read the morning paper. She was always better at thinking up ideas than at finishing them. Besides, she said, you have to have somebody to surprise. Henry and Henry's father painted the castle all morning. While they worked, Mudge snipped screwdrivers and paint cans and dirty rags and beach balls and Christmas decorations and a stuffed turkey. He also tried to eat a spider, but he missed. Looks like Mudge isn't bored anymore. Henry and Henry's father were very quiet. They wanted to pay attention. They wanted to do a good job. Every now and then, Henry's mother would call out, "Is there life down there?" Finally, close to lunchtime, Henry looked at his father. His father looked at him. "Wow," they both said. Come look," they called up the stairs. Henry's mother went to the top of the stairs. Not yet," they called. She waited. Okay, they called. She went down the stairs, and there she saw the most beautiful castle, and the most beautiful knights, and the most beautiful king she'd ever seen. They all spent a long time admiring the castle. They took turns sitting in it. They stuck their heads through its windows. They opened and closed its doors. They lowered its drawbridge over and over. Henry was thrilled. He gave his parents a big hug. He gave Mudge a big hug. "What a weekend," said Henry. The king gave him a big lick. And what a great king. So look who's king of the castle. None other than Mudge. I hope you enjoyed that story. I want you thinking about what makes this a realistic fiction story. Tomorrow you're going to have a worksheet to go along with it. You don't need to print it out. You can just answer the questions in a journal. These will help you comprehend what happened in the story. If you need to go back or slow it down, you can do that. I like to look at the questions and then read it. So maybe you want to read the questions first and then read the story. Also be thinking about if this could happen in real life. This is a fictional story, but do you think this is possible? Have you ever felt bored on a weekend where you couldn't go outside? Maybe you can make connections to what's going on now, because a lot of people are feeling bored now. Remember, there's all sorts of ways to think while you read, and I want you thinking as you read or as I read to you. So, do this worksheet and tune in tomorrow for another read.